Welcoming everyone to another episode of Open Mic. Really excited for you guys to be here today. We've got a packed episode. I first talked with one of my best friends from Mizzou, ABAS. He's an up-and-coming rapper. You guys should go check out his track Excitin' on Spotify, Apple Music, and you can find him. That's ABAS on Spotify. So go check that out after you listen to the interview we had. We talked for about an hour about the creative process, what it was like dropping his first track, just a whole lot of really great things. And then the next part of the podcast is an interview I did with my dad. We're going to call it Tales from the Caddie Yard. He actually went out and caddied at Bel-Air Country Club for a little bit. Obviously, Bel-Air Country Club right in the heart of Los Angeles. So a lot of high-profile members. So I have some really fun, really cool stories and life lessons from that in there. So with that, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right to it. So now I want to welcome on to the show. He's a up-and-coming rapper. He's a Mizzou tour guide, one of my best friends. ABAS, thanks so much for joining, man.
Hey, man. Thank you so much, Mike, man. It's a privilege. I was saying to Mike right before we started that he's like, how do you want to introduce yourself? I was like, well, this is my first interview I've had since I started rapping. So if this goes major, just know it all started with Mike right there. So
Well,
appreciate
we're going to have you
man.
back on as a guest then. That's what it's going to have to be. When this blows up, you're just going to have to come back for periodic appearances. That's what it's going to be.
Oh, 100%, man, 100%.
Hey, I love it. So I want to start. Let's just start from the beginning. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And let's start there. Let's go from the top.
Yeah, 100%, man. So like Mike mentioned, my name is ABAS. I am born and raised in the wonderful city of Memphis, Tennessee, and spent 18 years there. Went the whole, K through 12 route in Memphis. My parents are from Ethiopia, so I'm Ethiopian. And when I was, I guess, 16, I started writing and really got into sports. I played basketball my whole life, and I was like, you know what, I want a career. I was too small to play basketball, like full time. So I was like, all right, let me write about it. I know a little bit about it. So I started writing. I was like, I want to do journalism, sports journalism. So that kind of led me into some research. Found Mizzou was like, the first ever journalism school, world's most renowned. So I was like, let me go. So applied, went to it, and had the best 4 years of my life, man. It was great. I got to meet people like Mike by joining wonderful organizations. Shout out the tour team.
Shout out.
It's crazy, man. But no, it was a great ride. And then I graduated with a journalism degree and decided I didn't really want to go into journalism. So that kind of led me into sales. So I do sales right now for AT&T National Business out here in the West region. So I'm in Los Angeles now. But I had a plethora of jobs, man. I was interning in all different places, DC, New York, Boston, got a holistic perspective, which is what I wanted. And I realized, man, I'm just young. I want to see what the world has to offer. So let me just keep going, and then I was like, you know what? I got other passions too, man. I've been creative and been creative my whole life. I was like, let me start rapping. And so, kind of similar to how you started your podcast, I was like, let me just throw a song out there. I threw a song. People loved it, man. They were like, hey, we need more. And so been writing ever since. And because of quarantine, I got a lot of content ready to go. So it's been a wonderful ride. And, I'm just glad to be here, man, alive in this crazy world, man.
Hey, I love it. So I think you brought up a point, you talked about it with the podcast here, but you decided one day, you're like, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to do it. Was there any moment that you were like, you know what, this is the thing I'm going to do? Or was it a gradual buildup? What was that like?
Yeah, man, honestly, I guess any creative can feel this way, but like whenever you have something that you create, you become attached to it to the point where you're kind of nervous to just bring that out into the world. And so I had been making music since I was a senior in high school, but I never posted it, because I was just like, this isn't my route. I need to go 4 years in college and I need to get a great job and feel secured. And it wasn't until I graduated and I started doing this advertising job in Chicago where I was like, man, I don't enjoy this at all. I could get a job and still do what I enjoy, And it got to the point where it was like, I just graduated college. I did my due diligence. I feel like I'm a successful person as of late, and that's not going to change. Why not just put something else out there? And it just became to the point where it was like, I have no more excuses. It's like, let's just put it out. People like it, they like it. If not, it's what I like to do anyway. You know, it's my form of habit. So it just got to the point where it was like, hey, I just got to either take this leap of faith or just keep it to myself. And I was like, you know what? I like it. I think people will like it. And sure enough, it worked out in my favor, you know? So
it worked out great. It's on my Spotify. I got to give you a shout out, man.
hey, man,
As soon as you put it out, I hit the like button. I'm like, I got to put that on my Spotify right now. But
Thanks,
I mean,
man. I
so
appreciate it.
what's the writing process? Because it's just one track right now, right? It's just Exciting. That's the one you have out right now. So what was the writing process for that like? I mean, where do you start? Do you start with, is it lyrics? Is it the beat? Is it, you know, just the concept itself? Where do you start?
Great questions, man. I think for every artist, it definitely differs. My process is, it's changed. So at first it was very much so, I'm going to just write lyrics, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to find a beat that relates to it. And then as I started getting better, I was realizing, hey, it'd probably be a lot easier if I had the beat and then made the lyrics go with it. So I have to hear the beat. And crazy thing is, Excited took me 5 minutes to write. And another crazy thing is, I had it finished in May. I didn't drop it till like September, and I didn't show it to anybody. And I thought it was a terrible song. I was like, I don't like it. And I just kept it to myself, dude. Didn't put it out. And I was like, man, this is trash. I wrote it in 5 minutes. It's not good, man. Like, it was just all in my head. I sent it to, I would send, I have my best friend, one of them, he is legitimately the person I'll send the music to. And I'll be like, what do you think? Because he'll keep it straight with me, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, man, I haven't heard this song. I was like, yeah, it's not that good, huh? He was like, bro, this is the best one. What are you talking about? And so I was like, hold on, let me send it to other people. And other people were hearing it, and they were like, yo, this is the one. So I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? The song that I take the least amount of time to make is the one. But yeah, the writing process goes with the beat, man. If I feel the beat, I can write a song in like 5 minutes. If I don't, I may struggle with that to sleep on it and stuff like that. So.
And what was the inspiration behind Exciting? Was it, did you just like sit down and just was like the writing spirit talking to you and just words were flowing, or did it come from a certain place? I mean, you wrote it, like you said, in 5 minutes. So what kind of was that epiphany?
Well, I think it was the beat, man. I heard that beat and I heard it was kind of more upbeat, happy kind of feel. And I feel like I was just looking at myself and I was like, hey man, if this is going to be my first song, people are going to put it out, you know? I'm going to put it out and people are going to say a lot of different things. But that's fine, because at a certain point of time, I know there's going to be a lot of people who like it, right? And so the people that were talking, who had a lot of disagreements about it, they're eventually going to ride on that wave. You know, if you listen to the lyrics, it's, you know, they're surfing on my wave. And they like it, you know. I've been knew that I would blow, call me a psychic. So like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, hey, I know I can do this, man. Let me just put it out there. And then when I do, it's going to be excited, man. Everybody's going to love it. So I think it was just one of those things that has been mulling over in my brain for a minute. And I was like, hey, this beat's perfect. Let's get it going, you know. And it just was fluid.
That's cool. And I love how you the song is about almost the process of putting out the song in a way. And about the creative process. And that's something that I've talked about a little bit on the podcast, is that the only way to get better is to just put something out there and to like see what people think. And like you said, sometimes, like, you know, there's going to be people, you put something out there and no matter what you put out, whether it's, you know, the equivalent of, you know, the Mona Lisa or, you know, just something that is just a really bad first cut, they're not going to like it no matter what.
100%.
And,
yeah, exactly.
You know, I think it's really cool to hear that from a music perspective as well. Obviously what you put out though was really good. It was great, and it got a ton of positive thoughts. So I find it validating to hear that from someone else, that, you know, you're going to put something out. It's going to be, you know, people are going to either like it. There's going to be a segment of the group that's just going to hate it no matter what. Yeah, and 100%. The key is just to put it out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing is, because I would watch interviews all the time with the artists that I really liked, and there was an artist named Russ who, you know, for 11 years was just putting out music, and he was just like, hey man, put out as much music as you can. There are gonna be people who like it and people who don't. But if you sit on it for a long time, you're just gonna think to yourself, hey man, let's keep pushing it back. You're gonna keep finding excuses. So he's like, hold the songs that you think are like golden, you know, but build up that reputation and build up that you know, the camaraderie with your fan base, to when you get to that point where you have enough people behind you, drop that golden song, and then it just takes from there. So I took that approach really heavily. I got a bunch of songs that I think are just like legit, like I think could take me to the next level, but it's right now I don't have the audience for it, right? So like
Hmm.
me putting it out right now may not do as much as if I put out other singles, gain some
Yeah.
traction, and then drop the big one. And then, hey man, I'm coming back for a sequel, but this time Grammy nominated.
I love it. I love it. That's so I want to know, because you mentioned you did a little bit of music in high school. What was that? Was that rap? Was it something else?
Yeah.
And has that kind of influenced, I mean, the music you're putting out, you're planning on putting out, you've already put out now?
Yeah, man. So a big thing in high school was a lot of spoken word. So more
Cool.
poetry than it was any type of rap, which is why I went to, I would just write lyrics, and then I would have like maybe a soft piano in the back, if anything, some low beats to where my voice was amplified. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I transitioned it because I wanted to get my penmanship down and really develop a sense of lyricism at first. And then I felt like as I got older, I didn't want to compromise that by making poppy hits and things like that. But I know
Hmm.
people's attention span is a little different nowadays, right? It's shorter.
Yeah.
So maybe putting out stuff that's very heavy is tough, but like still putting out good content without sacrificing the integrity of the lyrics is something I wanted to work on. So that's kind of how it started in high school. Was it gave me the right foundation, and then as I got older and started hearing more music and started being around people who liked all types of music,
Hmm.
it was like, all right, I think I can form both of them together. So
Yeah. So would you say the writing is the most important skill to learn at the outset? I mean, is that, sounds like that's the foundation, or is it
yeah.
developing a sense for what is going to sound good as far as a beat or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I think it really just depends on the person, because if you look at rap music today, if you ask me, dude, I think there is just a lot of just trash music out right now, right? Where there
Yeah.
is no lyricism, but they're outselling people who, generally have good lyrics, right?
Yeah.
And the process of getting bigger and bigger and bigger, if you take an approach of like, I'm gonna sit down and write something that's very meaningful and to the world, it takes a longer process for you to get your voice heard than it would for somebody who's just like talking about the same stuff. So it
Yeah.
really just depends. Everybody's gonna have your own issues. But for me, I personally say it's not about getting my biggest goal is like it's not about getting big at all. It's
Hmm.
just about earning respect. So it's like I want to know when people hear my music, they're like, hey, this dude can actually rap. I think that
Yeah.
means more to me than like saying, hey, this guy is making a lot of money. He's doing all this, because I firmly believe, man, talent speaks for itself, and talent will get you noticed. It may not get you to like the Billboard 100s, but that's not my goal, man. My goal
Yeah.
is just to be heard and let my story, be brought out into the world in my way without, sacrificing anything within myself to get to a certain destination. Because I'm not really looking to get to a destination, just chilling
Hmm.
right now.
Hey, it's the process, man. That's what
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
about. It's the
Trust the
process.
process. Shout out to Philly, man. Shout out to Philly.
I love it. I love it. So you talked about how you had, a couple of songs where you're like, okay, like I know this is a good song, and you're like, I
Yeah.
have other ones that I'm slowly putting out. How do you know? Is it like a spidey sense type of thing, or is it
Yeah, man.
how do you figure that out?
So that's an excellent question. You never know, you never know. But there's some tracks, bro, where you
Hmm.
make it and everybody you get this feeling in the room where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, this could be the one. And I remember I went to Como
Yeah.
to record. We went to where KCOU does their recordings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went down there because one of my buddies, Ryan, is
Yeah.
it's like producer over there. So he produced me
Okay.
for like
Cool.
$10. He did 5
Hmm.
tracks for $10. So I was like, this is perfect. So we're down there, we're recording all these songs, bro, and I'm just
Hmm.
kicking them out, kicking them out, kicking them out. Out of all the, we recorded this one song, it's called Diamonds, and that was the second song I recorded. I'm on my fourth song right now.
Yeah.
Ryan's mixing, doing all this stuff for me,
Yeah.
and then all I hear him in the background just humming. He's humming like the lyrics to Diamonds, and I'm like, why does that sound so familiar? He was like, oh, bro, that was the song that you just made. Like that was good. I was like, but that was 2 tracks ago, man. He was like, it's just in my head. It's really catchy. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking nothing of it at this point, because even me, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not a huge fan. So I send those files that I get to my engineer in
Hmm.
Boston.
Yeah.
I sent all five files. He goes, I said, how's it coming? Halleck, is it sounding good? He's like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, we got a hit with Diamonds. That's the only one he said. And I was like, all right, man, I don't know about that. So I played it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is good. But knowing me, I'm still like, I don't want to jinx anything. I sent that song out to 10 people. Out of all the files I sent out, right? I sent 5
Yeah.
to 10 people, and all of them say Diamonds is the one. So it's just like after a certain time, it's like when everybody's saying it, and these are all people who listen to all types of music, because I want to be strategic, right? I don't want to send it to people who just listen to rap. I want to listen to everybody, and they go, Diamonds is the one. Diamonds is the one. So I've been holding on this song for a year, man. And I don't anticipate me dropping it anytime soon until I know the time is right, because you just get that feeling where everybody's in agreement, which rarely happens,
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, this is the track. Just hold it for a minute, and then we'll post it. So I think that's what it is, man. It's the energy around a song, and then it's just kind of it's that connection that it brings around other people,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Hey, shoot, I'm pumped for Diamonds to come out.
Dude,
I'm gonna be watching it, man. I'm waiting for it now.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I did a good job or a bad job, because if it's trash, bro, I'm definitely gonna hear it.
No, it's got to be good. That's cool. That's so cool. And I'm so fascinated with the writing process, because much like you, I kind of came up as a writer, more of like kind of a sports columnist. A lot of my heroes were, the Rick Rileys, the Jim Murrays, a lot of the old school sports writers, even into the Bill Simmonses of the world, the guys who could write and blend pop culture and sports and all that stuff. So I just am, as someone who's kind of done the writing process from that end, I'm just so fascinated of the writing process, kind of when you're putting music and lyrics together, because in some ways I feel like it is similar, but in other ways it's definitely not similar.
Yeah. And it was crazy because, I was a journalism major going in to Mizzou, wanting to be, my emphasis, I wanted to do news writing. That was the biggest thing. And I took Liz Brixey. I don't know if you know Liz, but she was my 2100 professor. And for those of you guys who don't know, 2100 is like the class in the J school where it's like, it's like it's the hardest one, man. And I loved it, man. It was my favorite class I've ever taken. Liz was just like, it got to a point where she asked me straight up. She was like, hey, do you want to go into news writing? I said, yeah, but I'm also thinking about like financially what makes sense, right? Because at the time, things were changing. Everything was moving digital. You're not really making that much. I'm like, all right, let me maximize this degree. And I was like, I want to do StratCom. And she was just like, you have a knack for it. And I really think the reason why I was so skilled was because I spent all those years, writing poetry, writing, music. And because it's a different style of writing, it kind of forces you to, I'm not going to say think harder, right? But like think strategically. How are words going to rhyme together, but also bring out a meaning? It's harder than just simply writing things to get out like a simple meaning. You have to disguise your meaning with this, So it's kind of just, I think all those years practicing, it definitely made me better. And I wouldn't have been good either way, without one or the other. So, because the journalism aspect definitely strengthened my writing and, honed my technical skills, which I think were definitely needed,
Yeah. So when you're writing, because again, this is as a writer, myself, I don't know how much writing I'm doing now. But as a one-time washed up writer, I should say that, when do you, like, how do you have a sense of when the words are really going together? Because I know for me, like, you kind of just start writing, and then you've done it for so long, you have a sense like, okay, these words almost like puzzle pieces are fitting together. What's that like when you're writing a song, writing a rap? Do you have the same sense, or what does that process, the writing process, look like? I guess I should say.
I treat it so much as though I was writing like a paper. The hardest part of the rap for me is the ending and the beginning. The middle is the middle. We can figure the middle out. And that's kind of where in school, I was always like, okay, how do I hook people, but how do I bring it all back together? And so I treat it as like almost like a beginning, middle, end, but let's really focus on the beginning, because people are automatically going to want to hear those first few lines, but those first few lines are also going to be the structure for the body, the meat of the rap, And then the ending, I think, should tie everything back together, because we're roping right back into the chorus, So all of it, I think, has to be synchronized. A lot of people don't do that. They have their own ways. That's just what works for me. It's a lot easier to keep me structured. But yeah, man, I will. So what I'll do actually is I'll hear the beat, and I'll like imagine a time in my life or a period or a place that I want to go. And I'll try to formulate one sentence that sounds cool. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, you know, I'll freestyle it, man. I'll freestyle so many different things. And a lot of what happens the very first line is me just like freestyling whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I did it yesterday. I heard this beat, and I was like, hey man, what can I do? What do I want? What would be cool? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, Paris would be cool. But like, how do we make Paris like sound cooler? You know, how do I do that? It's all every artist embellishes, you know, their lyrics. But like, I try to stay within like the margins. I don't want to go too crazy because I'm like, this doesn't happen. But like, what about Paris would be cool? Like maybe like a skyline. You know, I don't even know if Paris has a skyline, but like, I was like skyline viewing off the terrace. I'm in Paris on some chill stuff. You know, we put that word out. You know, but like, I'll do that, and then I'll go, okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
How do I build up on that? And then every line has to sound just as cool to me. So then I was like, all right, this is good enough. But it has to fit the beat as well, too, you know?
Yeah.
So the syllables and all that stuff, to me, I think, you know, emphasize specific words that are, you know, better than others and can bring together a whole verse. So that's how I started, man. I just freestyle. And I'm like, what could be the cool? And then after that, I write it down. And then it just becomes natural if it's a good line, you know?
Yeah. That's the freestyling thing is, you know, when I'm just – because I feel like I watch, like, that's like something YouTube hits me with all the time. I've just watched so many of them. So I am like, because as, again, you know, someone who loves good writing and myself, to like have someone then speak what is just, you know, in my mind, like the highest of the greatest writing on the planet, like, and being able to freestyle that. How did you build that? How did you build like that ability? Man. Is it something where you have to practice it? Because the line you just, you know, had right there about Paris, I was like smiling because I'm like, that's just incredible that someone could. It was like a magic trick, honestly. It was. So how do you learn that?
Yeah, man. So you know, I got to shout out Cordova High School real quick. So back in the day, so I went to Cordova High School in Memphis, Tennessee, and we used to. You probably know this too, man. There are people who used to like make beats with pencils on the desk, you know, and people would just freestyle. And so I was never good at making the beat. I realized at an early age, I could never be a producer because I could never rap and do the beat at the same time. So I had to choose one. And so people would just hit the beat over and over again. And so I would just try over and over and over again. And my cousin who I grew up with was a producer. So he used to always just make beats. And so I would just always freestyle. And it got to the point where I was like, hold on, I think I could be pretty good at this if I just understand words a little bit better, you know, and how those words are intertwined. Because once you get the structure of it, coming up with the word is not hard at all. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So I've been probably freestyling, I think, since freshman year of high school all the way to now. So it's been like 12 years or something of me doing it. And it was crazy because this weekend I was in San Diego. We're at my roommate's beach house, and we just start playing beats on loops. And you know, I didn't want to rap. I was like, no, man, I don't really feel like it. And they're like, no, boss, you got to. Obviously, they can make the rapper freestyle. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It gets to my turn, and then immediately I just start going in, and then you feed off energy. So you hear other people going crazy, and then it's like, hold on, I got more where that comes from. So that's kind of how it was. You kind of dude, there's sometimes I just blank out and I just go, but the muscle memory in my head with the words, it's like, I know what word is going to fit what, you know, this sentence. There are times you mess up, but the key of it is you got to keep going off of that mess up, you know? So that was a big thing. And if for anybody, Mike, if you're looking to learn to freestyle, one thing that I did was I would have my little sister, I would tell her to throw me a word. As soon as I said the word, you'd have to say another word. And so that way I have to immediately, you know, change up my thinking on it and then rap and just switch it up, you know? So
that's cool. I'm going to have to try that. That'll be a quarantine project for me. I'll just have people throw me words. It's not going to be good, but I'll give it a shot. And then as soon as I get good, we'll have you back on it and we can do something with that.
We'll go back and forth, man.
We'll go back. I don't know how. I probably am not going to last long if we go back and forth. You can maybe give me a couple verses before all the creative juice is gone.
Yeah, no, you're good, man.
No, it's just so cool. Is there one like line when you were freestyling, you know, even when you were starting out, when like you said it and you're like, okay, I know that I got this. When you went from like, you know, trying, and then you said one line or you had one moment where you're like I got this now, like I can do this.
Yeah, and I can't even remember the line so much because I told you I just like sometimes you just space out, man. You're just going at it. but it was I was on stage, man, and I was freaking out. And this was at church camp. For out of all the places, it was church camp. And they had this little talent show. They needed more people to do it. Nobody wanted to do it. And so they're like, boss, like, get up there and do something. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I don't know, like rap or something. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll try, you know? So I get up there and I had nothing prepared. But like right before I remembered a rap that I had made, so I do it. And in midway, my mind goes blank. You know, you get a little nervous. I was like in fifth, you know, I was like in seventh grade, I think.
Yeah.
I get nervous. I'm like, oh shoot, this isn't good. I got to come up with something. So immediately I just say, cut the beat real quick. And then I just freestyled, man. And it just sounded so good. It wasn't even the best freestyle, but like to them, it was like the coolest thing, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I could get good at this, you know. In the worst case, in a performance, like I performed in Atlanta, December 26th, the day after Christmas. So we had a performance there, and I'm performing on stage, and my buddy, we had a song together, and he botched his lyrics. He got nervous. So I immediately just took it and started freestyling. They didn't even know until we got right back into the hook, you know. And then he was just like, man, thank you. But like that's a skill I think a lot of rappers need nowadays. It's like in the case, especially up and coming rappers, people don't know your music. If you mess up, you just gotta keep going. You can't stop, you know, and then, you know, bring it back. So yeah, I definitely that was probably the moment where I was like, okay, I can get good at this, and I just try to perfect it, and I'm still trying to this day, man.
That's so cool though. And I kind of now want to, we're all over the place. That's why it's called open mic. So, cause we go all over the place. Who were your kind of early, you know, musical inspirations that got you into rap? Was it your parents? Cause I know in our, you know, family, both my parents are entrepreneurs. So that was kind of, for me, something I had early exposure to. You know, who were those early inspirations? Was it your parents? Was it a particular artist, a song, you know, a family member? What was the thing where you're like, okay, like I love doing this because of that person?
Yeah, well, for me, it was a little different. My parents were immigrants, so they didn't really like rap music at all. You know, they don't really like music. You know, I mean, they just kind of like listen to NPR and call it a day. You know, which I like NPR too. Shout out to NPR.
NPR is great, man. Hey, yo, shout out NPR. So in on NPR.
All things considered, man, I'll tell you that. But
the best. It's the best.
But so my brother actually started listening to rap music before anybody I knew, and he would send me different people to listen to. And I really loved the first album. I think I remember and still my favorite to this day is it's not even an album, it's a mixtape, but it's called Friday Night Lights by J. Cole. And J. Cole was like the person, when I heard his music, I was like, hold on, I like this style of music. I like the way he writes. You know, everything is cool. He's speaking about real stuff and what's going on in his life that I think a lot of people can relate to, you know. And I always said this, you know, there's always a comparison between lyrical artists versus people who aren't, right? And so they put, I think, J. Cole and Kendrick on this platform, but they always give Kendrick a little nod. And I agree, Kendrick is amazing. But I think there is something special when you are an artist who can talk about the most complex issues in society that affect so many people and dumb it down to where everybody can understand and appreciate it. That is the hardest thing to do to me, because I've tried so many times and I can't do it, you know? And then that's why I think he's a genius, and that's what I strive for. That level of excellence is kind of what I want to get to one day, you know? But yeah, that was the first thing that opened my eyes up. But I also grew up around a lot of different musical influences, man. My favorite genre isn't even rap, if I'm being honest with you. I don't like listening to rap more. Dude, to be real, I'm a huge fan of just like alternative pop. Dude, I love pop too, man. I just think it's cool, man. Yeah, it's like it's popular music for a reason, you know? I think even country music, dude, I'm not a huge fan, but I love the lyricism behind it. Like if I'm looking for lyrics, those are some of the genres I'm going to. It's because it's a different, and I think it makes me a better rapper too, because I'm listening to all types of music, and all those influences hopefully can be heard within my sound and make me unique and diverse compared to the field, which is kind of what you need nowadays, you know? And so, that's kind of what the influence. I grew up listening to Jack Johnson. Huge Jack Johnson fan. John Legend was a huge, household name in our place. Bob Marley, and then also, people like the Roots. Grew up listening to them. So a lot of old school rap with a mix of, we had some funk in there as well. dude. I'm a huge Alan Stone fan, dude. I love Alan Stone.
Nice.
So that's kind of where I'm headed, man. But it's crazy because I didn't even really grow up listening to just like rap music as a whole. And to this day, man, I listen to all types of music because I think it's just the only way to get better, man. You know.
Totally. And that's something, I mean, again, I don't write music and I don't pretend to write music. So, for me, it's what you said. I think you chase the songs with the good lyrics, with where the writing is just really crisp. It's really clean. And, I don't have a favorite genre, because for me, it's like, I just want to go where the song is well written. It's well put
100%.
together, and it sounds good to listen to. Because I don't know, nothing gets me more excited than just incredible writing, whether it's in a song, in a TV show, or any medium, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, the best music is music that takes you to a place, right? Like takes you to a time where you look back and it just gets you thinking about everything other than the song, I think. Because if it can direct my attention, like I was listening to the Oh Wonder album yesterday, and I heard this song called Happy, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like it just took me to this one time when I was like a senior in college, and I was like, that's the best music, man, because you're never going to forget it. And every time you listen to that song, it's going to take you back to that place, Totally. And I think if it does that, then it's left a mark on you, and I hope to do that one day. I just find that that's easier for me to do when I'm listening to music that's not rap music, because rap music's so saturated, and a lot of artists are talking about the same things. For me, there are only a couple artists that can do that for me, but I'm listening to, certain types of bands or, certain type of pop music. I'm like, hey, I can remember this because it's relatable, so that's kind of where I'm at with it at this point.
Who are the rappers for you where you're like, you mentioned J. Cole, you mentioned, Kendrick, who are the guys for you who you're like, okay, I can listen to these guys. Like, these guys are the ones who I really, you elevate and you put on a pedestal.
Oh yeah, I mean, and so this is controversial, man. I swear, because I feel like you put me in a tough spot, man. But this is how I feel. This is how I feel.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of J. Cole.
Cool.
I like Kendrick. I'm not a huge fan of Kendrick, but I respect the excellence, and I know he's top two, if not one,
Yeah.
Huge fan of Jack Harlow. So just to put that out there, I know you probably heard the song "What's Poppin'."
What's Poppin'? Yeah, that's on. That's first song on my running playlist.
Look, I know, bro. I know. So I've been a fan of that man since like freshman year of high school. So I've been following him from the jump. Yeah, I love his flow, man. I just think it's different. I think it's unique, and I think compared to other rappers, like I just enjoy his presence. You can feel the aura that what he speaks on. So I like him a lot. I'm a huge fan of man, who else? J. Cole. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Drake's the greatest artist of all time. That's just truth to me, dude.
Second on that one, man. Second. I have whole playlists of where it's just all Drake, everything,
dude. And the thing is, I don't even like to put him in the conversation because it's just not fair to anybody else. Like Drake has done something that we haven't seen ever, and nobody I think will ever. He's like the Michael Jordan of music. Dude. He's crazy, man. He's crazy. So. Drake, I've loved Drake. He's my favorite artist of all time, man. And a lot of older artists as well too. Like I love 50 Cent, man. I just love what he brought to the game from not just a music perspective, from a business perspective. I can respect that, Never really been a Kanye fan like that, but I like Kanye a lot. People hate on Chance the Rapper. Early Chance, man, was my guy. I love Chance. I love his flow. I love his happiness. So I would say that, but it's a list. It's YB and Cordae, a new artist coming out right now. He's dude. I think he's the next big thing. So people like them are the people that I would put over, a lot of other artists and rappers nowadays, music selections. But yeah, man, it's not that many. It's not that you really gotta hit me with something I've never heard before for me to be like, okay, I'm putting you in this class, because right now a lot of people just are subpar. I think
Totally, and I think again, this is kind of in a common theme, like. With a lot of those guys, it's good writing. It's good writing is what leads a lot of that. That's I know why I'm a big fan of Drake, because the writing in there, it's like I could listen to the song 3-4 times in a row, and I'll still miss something, some kind of a reference, some kind of clean writing. So for me, that's as someone who loves that, like I gravitate towards that a ton, because it's well crafted. It's not just something where someone threw a bunch of words together and
100%.
set a tune to it and was like, okay, this is the song. It's intentional, and it feels very real.
Yeah, 100%. Drake does it better than anybody else, man. And he crosses platforms, different genres. He could touch so many different things. And I think that's true skill, man. He's not just a rapper. He's not a pop artist. He's so many different things. His music has influenced other cultures. He's done a lot with the UK, accent, and bringing that sound to life. And you could tell he's something special because he did a song with Migos. Look where Migos is now. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
there's so many artists where he's done that for people. And man, brought him to life, and I think that only speaks to his excellence, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, Drake's unreal, man, for real.
Totally.
I love him.
So hey, when you talk about, spanning genres, totally expanding. Where do you see your career going? I know you talked about, for you, it's about the process. It's about just putting out stuff that's intentional, that is well done. It's real. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not just trying to put out stuff to put out stuff. You want to put out stuff with meaning to it. Where do you hope to see your career going with that? Is there any genres you want to experiment with? Is there any stuff, outside of maybe rapping you aspire to do? What's that like? What are the plans?
Man. It's a great question, man. And it's something I've been dwelling over the past couple of days. Is I feel like I've got a lot of tracks that I've been writing that are just like straight, just like bars and just only lyrics, and no real melodies. But I have a lot of songs where I've been writing a lot recently with strong melodies. So I want to keep balancing it out. I do think I'm stronger with just the flow, just writing music with no melody and just go. I like that, but I also know that there are some times where I'm like, I feel like I'm way more than just a person who just writes rhymes, and I can definitely put together like a whole pop track, So I've been doing a lot of that, working with great writers right now. So that's another thing. I've been collaborating with other artists who are outside of my field to help me strengthen those things. So like we call them writing weekends. We have a writing weekend this week in Santa Barbara at my friend's place, and he's really good at pop, dude. That's all he is pop. He's a songwriter. He sent tracks out to like Dua Lipa, Charlie Puth, all these guys.
Wow.
And so I'm just like, hey man, let's get together and let's make me a track. Let's get together and let's write it down. And the more I think about it is, it's always good, I think, when you have multiple heads in the room, to just try and, get better within your sound, develop it. Because if I just stayed by myself the entire time, I would just be dropping tracks like excited every single week, which would be good, but it would put me in a box, and I don't want to be in a box. So I guess to answer your question, man, I love what I'm doing now. I think people are super excited. But I think people should be anticipating new diverse sounds, a new look. And I just want to keep getting better and better, and I want it to sound different every time. I don't want it to sound the same, but I want it to be good. Same level of quality, just different. And just see how the public reacts to it, man.
Yeah. So the writing weekend thing, I think it's really cool. When you get there and you sit down, is it like you guys at a coffee table with like, some coffee and food, or what's the back and forth would look like, because you're talking to someone who's, in a whole other genre now, and you're writing with that person?
It's a great question, man. So it's a unique process, and it's a special one that a lot of artists go through. And so you crank out 48, well, it could be as long as you want, but I think we're going to do 48 hours of just intense writing. And the goal is to try and get as many songs as possible written, maybe not even recorded, but just written. And I think how we go about it is, we may not go with like, oh, we want to get albums worth of content right now. We don't really care about that. But what we want to do is work to strengthen the way we think about writing, or the process as a whole. So, for example, I'll have a hook, right? And I'll put it down. I'm like, this is the one. Yeah. The goal of the writing weekend is to it's like what's a peer review in it, peer evaluation. I don't know. When you look at it, right, the goal is to make sure that first option shouldn't be your only option. So create 3 more just like that. And then come back to the table. But it's super hard to create even one, Mike. So it's like you spend hours and hours and hours on end to find 3 different sets of hooks to figure out how that's going to work. But I think the main objective is to never get satisfied with your work, because you can always strengthen it and make it better. So that's kind of the goal, is just retraining the mind to just be disciplined enough to sit down and be like, is this good? I think we can add a little layer to it. How's that going to look? So really taking it very seriously, and working with like 3 other people as well. we got
Nice.
instruments around us as well. So like, we'll create the beats from scratch, which I think is super dope. And
Yeah,
I think one day, like whenever I get to the point, I'm definitely going to record the process and see how it is.
for
'Cause
sure.
it's a strenuous process, man, but it's so fun. It's so crazy to see just music come to life from nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it is, but it's dope, man. It's dope. And one day when I get big, I'll drop that. Yes, you guys can check at the bottom of this, see the subscription below, you know, and when we get to go.
Hey, whenever you do hit a big, all I ask is that, I get the first interview. That's it. Gotta bring you on as a guest again.
That's not even a question, man. That is not
man.
even a question. I'll quit my
it.
job at that. I already told you, man. I'm trying to join top form. Forget rapping, man. I'm trying to join top form.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. Hey, this is awesome. I only got a couple more questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We'll do a couple more,
man,
and then we'll wrap up with a kind of a segment. We haven't really named it. It's like just 5 kind of final wacky questions, or kind of just like all over the board. So we'll do a couple more, and then we'll go into that, and then we'll get you out of here. Because you have a day job, you have an actual job, and you have a life that isn't just recording podcast interviews. So I want to make sure that you can actually go enjoy your life a little bit.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, anytime. I appreciate you being on here. So we've talked a lot about the creative process. We've covered a whole lot. Is there, any kind of skills that you wouldn't think, came together, in your life, whether it was being a tour guide or whether it was playing basketball, that you feel, helps make you a better rapper, a better, writer, anything like that? Because I'm always fascinated with people telling those stories, like, oh, I worked, the counter at an ice cream place and actually ended up, helping me, 10 years down the line or a year down the line with this skill. Do you feel like there are anything like that has made you a better writer?
Yeah. I think the two things that you said, man, being a tour guide, I think helped me develop the confidence to, perform, because every tour is a performance essentially,
Totally.
And when you get on stage, it's nerve-wracking, because there are a lot of people who are just like, hey, who is this guy? And for me specifically, it's like, who am I? I don't know, but I know, like, that's kind of how the tours go as well. These fans like, who is this kid? But I'm gonna do my best to show you guys a great time, and that's kind of how I treat every performance. Is you guys don't know me, but I promise at the end of the day, you will know me, or I'm gonna leave you with some impression. But I would have never developed that confidence if I never had that tour experience. So that definitely played a huge part. And in terms of just writing and making music and being, essentially a little still self-conscious about the stuff that I'm making and making sure that whatever I'm putting has to be better than the next. That comes with basketball. I've been playing basketball since I was like 12. So like competitively, I used to hate when we lost. I used to hate when I felt like somebody said they were better than me. So I would just, you see me on the court, man. I just get mad. I'm just like, no, I miss a shot, dude, and I get a shot I know I can make. It's so frustrating, So it's like I gotta work to make sure that like the competition isn't working, because the competition could be working harder than me. So in my mind, I got that, I wouldn't say Kobe-esque mentality, because I don't take it as serious as Kobe. I wish I did. But I definitely still have that back in my mind, is when I hear. So for example, one of my friends is a manager for a group who I think is good, but I, being me an artist myself, I have to compare myself, and I'm like, hey, they're not better than me. There's no way, and I do that for myself, not to discredit their work that they're doing, because they're excellent artists. You guys should check them out, by the way. But it's more just so a passion for me to be like, all right, these guys are like right here. I can feel them. They're a little taller than me right now in terms of where they're at. Let me go ahead and just work and show everybody myself that I can be better than that, So I think it's a good motivational thing for me, for sure. And I got those from I would say, two of the most important things that I was able to, witness for a long period of time. And, even outside of rap, you take those out into the real world in my job and everything else, with life. I definitely think it's just molded me into the person I am today.
Yeah. Well, I got to give you credit. You're the one who, you're ground zero for my love of basketball. So I got to give you credit, man. Playing intramurals with you is the best. But I think you hit on a great point. Like, me in a, kind of in the business entrepreneurship type world, so much of what I bring into that is the like basketball type learnings. It is. It's, working with, a couple of other guys on a project with them. And, I kind of, make the joke to myself and to them. I'm like, you know what, I'm not the leader of this. I'm like, you guys are the Steph and the KD of this thing. I'm just the Draymond Green or the Clay, but it allows me to kind of frame up, this is the role I'm going to play. I'm going to let these guys do it. But then sometimes, it's like, okay, now I'm going to be the leader. There's so much good stuff, I think, to be learned from sports, but I think specifically, in a business setting and a, entertainment setting from basketball as well. And it's also part of the appeal of it too.
Yeah, very true, very true. I agree. And you're more than a Draymond. Let's make sure you're Clay, okay? Don't disrespect yourself. All right, you are definitely not Draymond Green.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to clip that one and just get that on the record. So I'm gonna keep that saved on my phone. Just a little motivation.
No, 100%, man.
No, hey, you're the best. So we'll go into these final five right now. So like I said, this is just kind of, it's not exactly rapid fire, but it's like I'm gonna kind of just pose you some different questions, and we're gonna see what happens. Okay, so the first one.
Am I just supposed to come up with something like immediately with like, what are these kind of questions like? Are they like, what's your favorite food? And I just gotta say something, or is it like a little bit? Obviously, gonna be
a little bit like that. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Yeah, so you can put a little bit of thought. You don't have to go super quick, but it's just we're gonna kind of a scatter shot. So
all right,
it's you, and you get to pick 3 other artists. You guys are gonna do a one night only concert. Who are your 3 other artists, and what's the venue?
I'm going. Okay, it's me. This is tough, man. I'm gonna go John Bellion. Gonna go Tame Impala.
Cool.
And then I'm gonna finish it off with J. Cole. And I think the venue I want to do it at is Red Rocks. Stay in your hometown.
Hey, I'm front row with that, man.
Dude, I want to do it. I would love to do an outside venue. So I feel like that would be, awesome. And I hear Red Rocks is just crazy. So.
Oh, it's as far as an outside venue, it's the most unbelievable one on the planet.
Yeah, so. That's what I hear.
But I'm a little biased, obviously.
Yeah, it's okay.
So you're a big basketball fan. Who's your starting 5 all time? Any player, any generation? Who are the 5 guys you're going with?
This will probably change next year. Well, I don't know, but
that's cool.
Starting 5 all time. I gotta go with my man Steph. Love Steph.
Okay.
I gotta go with my 1, my 2. Gotta put MJ.
I like it.
There. 3, I gotta put my boy. Not really my boy, but I can't discredit his craziness. LeBron James.
Yep.
4, I'm gonna put. That's tough, man. I think because he's so I'm gonna put KD at 4, and then
I love it.
For my 5th, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Olajuwon.
Dude, that's
Olajuwon.
I'm a fan. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a tough out, man. Shoot,
we got a lot of shooters, man, and we got a rim protector. I'm cool with that.
You can play a little inside out game with that. I mean,
exactly.
I'm a fan. Okay. Wow. Okay. 2 incredible answers to start us off. I love it. So you were a tour guide at Mizzou. You were a tour guide with me. You can show it 3 people. You can pick anyone of all time, historical figures, athletes, anyone from all time. Who are the 3 people you're bringing on tour with you to show them Mizzou?
I'm gonna show my man Bob Marley. I love Bob Marley to this day.
Love it. Yep.
That's tough, man. That's a tough question. I'm gonna go Bob Marley. I just feel like Obama would just enjoy the tour. I would throw Obama in there, man.
That'd be fun, man.
It would be amazing. I feel like that'd be cool. I gotta throw him in there,
Cool.
And then I'd probably throw. I don't know, maybe like Benjamin Franklin, maybe just because.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, underrated historical figure.
100%, bro.
Could tell you some stories about Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson, little Mizzou influence there, Louisiana Purchase. So I like it. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a solid
one.
And
I mean, nobody complains about having a Ben Frank in your pocket, so I might as well see the real deal. I'm trying to check that out. If I'm gonna want to have him in my pocket, I might as well want to have him on tour. I feel like
might as well
right
hang
thing.
out with him, man. God, that was too smooth, dude. That was too smooth. I love it.
Appreciate it, man.
So we got two more.
Yeah.
Favorite lyric that either you've written or that you have heard. So it can be either one.
Ooh. Favorite lyric I've written or I've heard. What's my favorite lyric I've heard? Here, I have to look at my phone real quick. Let me see. I got plenty of lyrics, man. I got plenty of lyrics, so I'm just trying to dude, that's a tough question, man. That's not a rapid fire question.
Hey,
I need to sleep on that one,
That's why
wow.
That's why I try not to call it rapid fire, because I'm like, we get questions like this from like, maybe that wasn't exactly a rapid fire one.
Man, I would say probably. Wow, that's hard. That is not easy, man. Let me. I don't know, man.
I'll get you a different one. Okay, I'll get you a different one.
All right. I'll text you my response to that. I'll text you my response to that one.
And I'll post that on Instagram for sure, because everyone's gonna want to see like what is the lyric.
I gotta come up with something.
That's cool. So what's
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, let's go.
I got it. So this is for an unreleased song. Hasn't come out yet, but it goes. I popped back like chiropract when they say boss couldn't make no hits. So essentially, you get the chiropract, they popping backs and stuff. The line prior to it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But that's the line when we recorded it. Everybody was like, "Yeah, that's the Drake line that everybody's gonna say and stuff like that." So that I would say that's probably my favorite, because I can't think of a line from somebody else right now, just because there's just too much stuff going on in my head. But I would say that's probably the line most recently that I'm like, okay, this is a dope line. I like that.
Cool. That's a great one. Okay.
Thanks.
So last question. You're in LA.
I'm in LA.
You're in LA. I mean, you got the Lakers, you got the Clippers.
I got the Clips.
What's your prediction for the NBA Finals? I got to get it from you.
Man, it's crazy. I'm in a divided household.
Yeah.
I think my heart wants the Lakers to win, for the simple fact that I think it would be special for the city.
Yep.
Either way, but I think because of Kobe, I think I want them to win. But if I'm being honest with you, I think that the Clippers as a team is suited better to play them and also beat them. So I think the series is like 2-1 this year. Clippers,
something like that.
So and I don't even think Paul George was playing the very first game. So like. They won one without Paul, and then they won the other one too. It's pretty easy. So I just feel like, I don't know, LeBron in the playoffs is different, but that man, Kawhi, is a different being, man. I don't know. He's like Jordan-esque.
He's nuts.
So
he's nuts.
He's crazy. And he's the only one I think that has gave LeBron trouble in the past too. So I think I'm gonna go Clips in a 7-game series, but at the same time, my heart wants the Lakers to win, man. I think it would be special for everybody.
Totally. So, hey, I'm excited for the NBA to be back end of July. I've got it circled on my calendar. I'm going off the grid. I'm excited. It's gonna be.
Hey, your Nuggets may be able to. You're a Sixers fan now.
Well, I've kind of been all over the place on my fandom recently. So I did a little soul searching. Big Steph Curry fan. He's a guy.
Thanks, brother.
Model a lot of my game after. Not as good for sure. Big Steve Kerr fan, actually. He's the guy who I actually model my game after. Come off the bench, shoot a couple of threes.
Yeah.
So, love Clay. So I'm like, you know what? They weren't great this year. I loved watching Eric Pascal play. He just was.
I did too, man.
Just the coolest guy. Villanova grad. Just, I think one of the best, kind of straight out of college games that I've ever seen. So I loved watching 100%. Him. He was my favorite. And then Wiggins, I thought, was a pretty cool trade at the deadline.
Yeah, man. So, I needed that. They're going to be scary next year, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm banking on it. So, actually, I went to the Nuggets-Warriors game where the Warriors beat the Nuggets. It was like win number 11 on the year.
Yeah.
And it was like in March, and I just was leaving the stadium like so pumped. Like no one played other than, I think, Pascal and Wiggins had decent games, but
okay, nice.
Yeah,
man.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. To wrap up, tell everyone where they can find you on social media, on Spotify, wherever you get your music. I want you to get your plug in, because I want people to go find you and go listen.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, you can find me on all platforms at @A_boss BOSS 13. I got to figure out a way to just make that ABAS, but we'll figure that out later.
We'll figure it out.
On Spotify, my artist name is ABAS, just all caps, ABAS. Exciting is on all platforms. It's YouTube. We got the video up. We got the song on Spotify, and then also Apple Music as well too. Stream those up if you haven't heard it now. What are you doing, man? You're wasting time, and
you got to do it.
Your ears are upset at you. I'll tell you that much. So
totally,
just go ahead and give it a listen. And yeah, I love feedback. If you want to, DM me or anything like that, let me know. If you're an aspiring artist as well, listen to this. You want to collab? Hey, man, send me your stuff, and let's get to working, man. I'd love to hear what other people out there, doing right now.
Well, I love it. I can't thank you enough for coming on. This was just an absolute joy to be able to catch up with not only one of the coolest people I know, but just an incredibly awesome friend. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to having you on again, man.
Hey, man. Yeah, I just want to special shout out to Mike, man. I also love the name Open Mike. It just kind of hit me when you said it. I was like, oh, this is dope. No, but yeah, this is, like I told him, this is the first interview I've done since, I started rapping and things like that. But, aside from the interview, it's just always great to, be around someone I, look up to in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't know this, but anytime I have a question about anything business related, there are only a certain few people I go to. Actually, there's two. One is my father, because he, owns businesses and stuff. And then the second is Mike, just because the man's mind is crazy. And Top Form, if you guys, I don't know how much you plug Top Form on here, but
not a ton. Go for it.
Let me plug it for you, man. Look, hey, man, look, I'll tell you this. If you want to get your shot right? If it's a little quicker right now, if you got a little Lonzo going on, if you got a little Ben Simmons going on, don't be mad. We got the solution for you. It's called Top Form. Check it out. We just started beta testing the other day. Got the results coming in. It'll change your game. It'll teach you how to shoot correctly, man, if you're looking to impress anybody. Or if you're just looking to get better at your game and change your lifestyle up. It's a wonderful product made by the wonderful team that Mike has, assembled. I hope one day that he can put me on, and I'll drop the whole rap stuff for good and make my parents happy. But other than that, man, you're a wonderful mind, man. I love you to death. One of my best friends.
Love you too, brother. Love you too, man. For sure.
I'll pub this episode for sure.
Oh, easily. I appreciate it. I can't thank you enough for coming on, and looking forward to having you on again.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Just shoot me a call.
For sure. Now I want to welcome in. I think this is the first interview we've done because of what someone commented on a TikTok post, but we're going to go ahead and do it.
Okay. Are we social distancing here? I just want to make sure feel like we're social distancing.
We might be a little bit. We're experimenting with a different kind of video format to get a good
angle. I feel like
angle.
you're so far away, but okay.
It's just, hey, we're talking at a table here. That's what it is. But we posted a clip of you talking about your time at Bel-Air Country Club, and it got a ton of views. I think last I checked it was at like 11,000 views. And,
nice, can't believe that.
And the big thing that people wanted to hear is they wanted to hear more stories of what it was like in the caddy yard, what it was like being a caddy at one of the top clubs in, quite frankly, all of America. Not only do you have celebrities nearby, it's incredibly storied. So give us again real quick a little background. So you went out to Bel-Air Country Club after resigning your job, finishing your kind of PR job in Chicago, right?
Correct. That would be correct. Yeah. So the story goes, I ended up caddying after resigning my public relations job downtown Chicago, a couple years out of college, my first job. I caddied that summer in Chicago. Yeah. Winter came. Yeah. And Dad, your grandpa, said to me, hey, what's your big idea next? What's your big plan next? Of course, I didn't really have a big plan next, just hoping people played Arctic golf or something. But I needed a plan, and I had pitched Grandpa on the plan of going to Southern California. Seemed good. I was young. And caddying at Bel-Air, just caddying in warmer weather. Bel-Air, obviously, as you mentioned, a very historic club. And I was very fortunate. Grandpa made the phone call. He kind of bought into the idea. I don't think he was too crazy about it, but I think he was willing to, as any good parent, kind of let me fail a little bit, let me learn a little bit, and I think he figured it was a good life lesson to get out there. So they were kind enough to take me in, and I headed out as the snow started to fall to sunny Southern California, and pulled up into Bel-Air, rented a apartment just off the campus of UCLA, cool. And started making my my way up to the Caddie yard at Bel-Air. So yeah, it was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah. So what was that like then? I mean, you've left Chicago, now you're out in Bel-Air, and Los Angeles, one of just the coolest parts of LA. You're at this big club which has a lot of big name members. What's the first day like? What's the first day you're rolling up to this club?
Well, the good news was I was actually crafty enough to talk 2 other caddies in the Caddie yard to go ask Grandpa, if they could go too. Mm-hmm. And they actually went. They had just graduated from Northwestern and I believe University of Illinois. So quite frankly, they were pretty smart kids. Yeah. So Grandpa made the call for them, and so actually I went out there with 2 other guys. Yeah. And which was great because we were the 3 of us, and it was kind of the 3 Musketeers, the 3 amigos. Yeah. And so it was kind of good to experience it with them. Kind of gave me wingmen. We were all again kind of strength in numbers. So yeah, we walked up to Bel-Air from our apartment, which is a pretty big hike up the hill, and we went to the pro shop. Announced that we were the 3 caddies from Chicago, and they said, great, welcome, glad to have you, and kind of gave us a Caddie 101 of what we needed to do, rules we need to follow, what time we need to be out there, and said we could start the next day. So again, 3 Midwestern dudes walked back down the mountain, went to our apartment, and we're like, what do we do? We're in LA, and so yeah, it was definitely one of those situations where, looking back on it, obviously tons of great memories, and obviously turned out to be a great life experience, but a little intimidating starting out.
So what's part of the 101 they give you? Because obviously they give you kind of the regular run-of-the-mill stuff, when to be there. Was there anything that stood out in that initial 101 that was specific to the high-profile members there? Was there any, stuff like, well, don't, freak out when you see so-and-so on the putting green or any of that? Was there any of that in there, or was it just like, you're here to caddy, do your best and that's it?
Well, couple things. We had to actually we had to check in at the Caddie yard roughly around 6 a.m. Yeah. So we literally got up. Some days we probably didn't shower. We just put a cap on. It was really early, and we walked up the hill. Yeah. And we checked in at the Caddie yard, and then your name's in the queue, so to speak. Now, remember, this is the early 90s, so it's 92, 93 is when it was. And, it was a different time, and, wasn't computerized, wasn't anything. We just walk up to a window, and we gave our name, said we were here, and then we would go to the Caddie yard, and we would literally sit amongst all the caddies. Yeah. And we had white bibs, and we had our caddy outfit, and basically we would wait till our name got called. Yeah. Little different than some clubs. You could people could request you, if they liked you. A lot of clubs didn't do that in Chicago, which is, if you know anything about golf, caddying in Chicago is part of the culture at their country clubs. And obviously growing up caddying, your name was called and you caddied for whoever the caddy master, because that's who you were checking in with, called you for. So we sat down there, and I think if I remember the first day, we probably sat for like 3 hours. I mean, it was like unbelievable. And in the Caddie yard, people do everything from gambling, playing. It's a pretty lawless little area. They're playing cards, any kind of competition, horseshoes, anything to pass the time. A lot of caddies would read books. So yeah, we stuck out as the new guys in the Caddie yard, and it was fun because you're anticipating, waiting for your first loop, who it's going to be, and obviously we all know the big name stars that are that play golf, and a lot of them are members at Bel-Air. But the big thing is you might get somebody that's a producer or someone. Most of the time, you're gonna get somebody in the entertainment world. I think my first loop, if I remember right, because I remember again, it wasn't a time where you could Google the name. It was like you're walking down the first fairway and you're kind of like, what do you do? You know. Of course, they asked, hey, what do you, where are you from? Are you in school? Stuff like that. Because a lot of the caddies there were older. There weren't a lot of college kids. There weren't you would think maybe some UCLA kids might come up there and caddy, but it's a tough gig to get. And they did have some that did, but mostly it was people that had made it a career. And it's they made a lot of money at the career. In fact, that was, I think, Grandpa's big advice to me before I went out there, and he turned to me and said, "This will not be your career." So I was like, okay. So I took those words. They're in the back of my mind all the time. And anyway, so my very first loop, I think it was a two bagger. I think I had two bags on one on each shoulder, a double loop, and I think I made $120 cash. And that was the early '90s. And I was done, I think we got off the tee around 9, but it's a private club, so it goes quickly. I think we were done by 1:30, and we all just went to the beach afterwards. So we all went down to the beach, which was interesting because I do remember, I don't know if it was that day or not, but we went down to the beach, and again, it's typical with Southern California. If you're a people watcher and a pop culture lover, you're going to love it. But we saw Wilt Chamberlain playing volleyball.
No way.
I was a little bit stunned at how tall he was. And he stuck out, obviously, being so tall. But again, 3 Midwestern kids on their own. Sounds like a Bob Seger song.
Yeah, seriously.
But, our eyes were big. And we're like, that's Wilt.
Yeah.
That's Wilt. So, we gave him a nod. Didn't act too impressed. But, he was spiking the ball. I did not want to play volleyball against Wilt Chamberlain. He was definitely a good volleyball player. But it was fun because, that's what we did. So every morning, we were done by, as we got better and more used out there, more requested, more in the swing, we were out sometimes by 7:30. And we were done by 11:30. And we just, go take our money and, obviously had to put a little aside for rent. But I swear to God, I think we had 3 mattresses in a room that we just bought. The apartment was empty. So it looked like, 3 dudes living together right out of college. It was definitely probably not a good thing they had phones or videos to document. You would have thought you didn't know who was living there. But anyways, it was great because we go to the beach or we go see certain highlights of California. Probably added to my love for Southern California and those memories and those good times.
So what are some of your favorite stories then of being a caddy out there? I'm sure you've got it. Before we were even rolling, you were talking about, I got a couple good ones.
I got a couple good stories.
What are some of the, of your fondest memories, your favorite stories, whatever from being out there?
So it was fun because, you got to kind of earn your way in the ranks. You got to earn your way in the ranks. And caddying's unique, it's a very, it's a great job. I recommend it to anybody to do. You meet very successful people. If you're smart and you listen to them and you just be a sponge. There's a lot of things you can pick up. It's no different than being around, if you're around a good basketball player, a good golfer, a good football player, you can pick up things if you're an athlete, meaning,
exactly.
Or if you're in the same way as you're an executive or a business person. So I tried to keep my ears open and my mouth shut and just learn and I think that was a real positive for me. But it was a neat time because one of the members out there at that time was Joe Pesci. And Joe Pesci, he was, my cousin Vinny. At that time, he was pretty famous for his line in Lethal Weapon about the drive-thru, which I'm sure this is a children's show, so I'm not going to go repeat the line. But he had a certain distaste for the drive-thru and what they did to you in the drive-thru. So it was kind of funny. One day I was in the caddy yard, and one of the caddies came back, and he's like, "Hey, my God, I'm caddying for Pesci. I'm caddying for Joe Pesci." He's like, "I couldn't help myself. I had to ask him about the drive-thru." And I was like, oh my God. Because you don't want to bother them. I mean, obviously they're there to enjoy themselves. That's how they relax. That's how they get away. But he couldn't control himself. And so he had to ask the guy, what do you think of drive-thrus?
Yeah.
But that was kind of the line of the day at that time from Lethal Weapon 3 or 4. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah. So, but, you know, he was good. I mean, the Caddie, I said, what'd the Caddie say? You know, what'd Joe say? He's like, oh, he's funny. He gets asked that all the time, which I'm sure he did get asked that all the time. So that was kind of fun. That was a fun memory. Probably the funnest memory for me out there was actually Grandpa came to play with the head pro there, Eddie Marins, who's the pro. He's legendary. They called him Little Pro at Bel-Air, and Grandpa came out to play with them. And of course, the Caddy Master was kind enough to give me them on a double loop.
Yeah.
So it was just Grandpa and Little Pro, Eddie Marins, and they were. I had the bags, and it was just the two of us, or there are two of them, and you know, two great pros, and just walking down the Bel-Air fairways with me looping. And got to about the 13th hole on the backside, and I, again, caddy nightmare, I lost my towel. Well, that's how you clean golf balls. That's how you do stuff. So a little bit of a panic moment. Got my dad there, and then I got, you know, Mr. Marins, and I said, hey, I lost my towel. So I said, I need to run back, and I need to get my towel. I'm sure it's just right over the hill there. So they said fine. So I put the two bags down, and I hit a big sprint back, and I got over the hill. And on the tee box, where, and your generation may not be aware, at least of one, maybe, I may not be giving you enough credit, but one of them was James Garner of the Rockford Files. Now, Rockford Files, man, I love the Rockford Files. It's a good detective story. Incredible theme song, by the way. You can download it, I think, on iTunes. So it was a great theme song. I won't attempt to replicate it right now. But, and it was Clint Eastwood. Make my day. So, literally made my day. But I said to them, I said, hey, Mr. Eastwood, Mr. Garner, apologize. Did any of you two pick up a towel? And I remember Mr. Eastwood kind of smiling. And Mr. Garner kind of smiling. And I knew at that point in time I was in for some shenanigans. So they both were like, nope, I didn't see a towel anywhere. And I was like, huh? Like, it's got to be right here. It's got to be right here. At that point, I kind of I-spied it in their cart. But, you know, I knew they were going to have a little bit of fun with me.
You got to go along.
So I was going along with them like, wow, you know, I'm caddying for, you know, Mr. Marin's Little Pro. I'm caddying for my dad. My dad's up there playing. I just really need my towel. You know, I got to clean their golf balls, man, and clean their clubs off. You know, my dad's taking a lot of divots today. You know, I mean, I was trying anything I could to get a little bit of sympathy, so to speak. They both smiled. I remember Mr. Eastwood kind of smiling at me like, all right, we'll let you in on the joke. And they're like, hey, is this the towel? And I'm like, you guys are the best. You two are the best. Like, great guys. I'm going to grab that towel. And I sprinted back down the hole, half out of breath, but grateful they didn't haze me for too long. So that was probably, honestly, my favorite memory out there because, you know, not often, you know, you get to kind of, you know, walk over a hill, run over a hill, and there they are, James Garner and Clint Eastwood. And if you're into movies and TVs and pop culture, I mean, they're very big figures in it. You know, it was one of those moments, again, Midwest kid. I was a little bit, you know, like, whoa. So anyways, kind of fun on that level. That was, again, kind of my favorite story. My second favorite story out there was the Caddy Banquet. I didn't know if we would be invited. It was a caddy banquet at Christmas time. It was a Christmas caddy banquet. And quite frankly, we were relatively new. We got out there at the middle of October as the weather turned back in Chicago. But they invited us to the caddy banquet. The club did, which I was floored. I was floored. It's in the nice dining room at Bel-Air. And little did I know, again, I get there and I sit down, and the host of the, and you might have to Google this in your generation, but the host of the Caddy Banquet was Bob Newhart and Tom Poston. I mean, they're two comedic legends. I mean, and obviously, you know, I think the TV show that time was Bob Newhart show was big in the 70s, 80s, but there was another one that came along with Tom Poston, and I had to Google it myself, but it was the show. It was very popular at the time. So they actually ran the Caddy Banquet, and they did little jokes and stand up, and I mean, it was an incredibly generous thing. And at the end, they passed out envelopes. And I remember thinking, well, really interesting. We're getting an envelope. Like, I didn't know if it was a Christmas card in there or whatever, but the envelope contained a $100 bill for all the caddies. So all the caddies got a $100 bill. But again, Mr. Newhart, Mr. Poston, they were extremely kind human beings and extremely, I mean, open and helpful and just, again, you wouldn't know who they were.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that, again, was just a real positive to be around and to see. I mean, and again, taking time out of their evening to host a bunch of caddies for a Christmas dinner, you know, said a lot about that club.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I have a real love for the club, you know, to this day. So I was fortunate about 4 years ago to go back out there with my good friend Ted Gleason, and maybe 4 or 5 years ago could be, and we got to play 18 holes and got to see Mr. Marins, who's since retired. Was also the former UCLA golf coach. We had lunch with him. Really a wonderful day. I mean, a great brought back big memories. Big memories and a lot of emotion. So but those are a couple little stories. I don't want to give them away all now.
I know
because there may need to be more.
I feel like Tales from the Caddie Yard could be a whole just segment.
Well, it's interesting if you're ever interested in caddying. Rick Riley wrote a book. And he went and caddied at, I think, and I don't know the whole premise of the book, but I read the section on Bel-Air. And I related to a lot of the caddies there because I remembered the caddies there. Because they all have nicknames. A lot of them have nicknames. So Rick referred to the nicknames in the book. But it's a great book. Again, I've read a couple of the sections. I won't claim to have read the whole thing, but I particularly read the Bel-Air section because I was very interested to see what characters, you know, from that book, from his experience there, caddying there for a day. But it's a great book. Again, probably should have read the whole thing, but what I read I loved, and so I'm calling it a great book on a couple chapters. But it was a lot of fun.
What were the characters when you went back and read the chapter and then kind of related to your own experience? Was there any ones that stood out, or is it, I mean, just the experience of being in a caddy yard like that?
Yeah, I mean, some of the nicknames that they had a caddy called, I believe, and again, I'm probably going to butcher some, Rayman, which was Ray, but they called him Rayman. I think they had one that was cue ball or ball. I mean, they did. Like, again, you'd have to go to the book, but you know, Rick Riley did a nice job of documenting it. So maybe we should go back and
could do a retrospective on
read
something,
on that at least that chapter. But he did it at a lot of clubs. So, but again, my love and affection was more for the Bel-Air section. So I caught a quick sneak preview, I think, in Kindle app. I was like, wow, I can read about this and not purchase the whole book. No, that's terrible. But anyways.
But what, you know, don't want to take up too much of your time. I know Mom is actually upstairs we're grilling, so we don't want to obviously be late to that. So
we definitely don't want to be late.
Definitely don't want to be late to that. So we'll do a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. What were, I mean, some of the things you learned, you know, not only in the caddy yard, you know, caddying for all of these people who, you know, were you know, part of the entertainment capital of the world, but just outside of that, was there any, you know, life lessons that you learned from that? Because, you know, it's definitely not a normal experience to go take some time and to go out to Southern California and do that. Did you learn anything? Is there anything that you reflect on and you're like, wow, like that was a really, you know, impactful thing for me to be a part of? Yeah,
there's a ton of things to learn. I think you learn to get, I mean, golf's a great sport. I mean, we've talked about that before. I think it's the greatest sport. I think there's a little, it's kind of a, you know, I always think it's a little metaphor for life in 4 hours. I mean, you got the ups, the downs, and you really, it teaches you a lot. So when you're caddying, it's a little different experience. Obviously, you're not playing, but you learn how to be around successful people. Again, like I said before, if you're taking time to listen to what they have to say and how they conduct themselves, you can learn a ton. And I think for me, it was, you know, being around those people and realizing they're human beings. They put their pants on the same way, as the old saying goes. So you can learn a lot. I mean, I learned a lot about humility, I think, from like a Tom Poston and a Bob Newhart, who took time out of their evening to host that caddy banquet. I'll never forget it. And I think it helped me just to understand a little bit better. Again, it's kind of, you know, life's kind of like Legos. This is one on top of the other. You're kind of building constantly. And it was one of those moments where I was able to experience something, absorb it, learn from it, and hopefully be better for it. And so, you know, the other bonus in that whole thing is again, getting the opportunity to meet new people. You know, actually one of my closest friends in the world today, I actually, through another friend, hooked up with an out there, Ted Gleason.
Yeah.
Ted Gleason is, you know, my goodness gracious, we're super tight this day. We do, you know, we get our families together, we do things. And that was a real plus from that experience. And if I didn't do that experience, our paths wouldn't have crossed. So sometimes in life, it's kind of just trusting your gut and listening to yourself. And I, again, thought it would be a great way to learn a little bit about life, kind of, you know, beyond my own. Because when I worked downtown in Chicago, I was there for, you know, 2 years on my own and lived at home. I didn't have an apartment. I tried to save money and live at home and take the train. And so, again, you know what? There's a lot of things you can reflect upon. And I think if you kind of, you know, one of your my favorite phrases, trust the process. You know, it was a little nerve-wracking. Believe me, it was a 36-hour car ride or whatever out there. 3 guys. We had to find an apartment to lease. And we had to really trust ourselves that we, you know, make good judgments, do the right things. And we did. We showed up. 90% of life is showing up.
Exactly.
And we showed up. We did our jobs. We were respectful. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And we had a lot of afternoons at the beach, and we hung out and got to be in some circles that, you know, maybe some people have access to. So, and again, that's where you want to respect their privacy and remember that they are people, and but obviously they're in a spotlight. They're on a different, you know, platform than we are, obviously. But great to get a chance to kind of to be in that environment.
Nice. Well, that's all I got right now. I feel like we should definitely do. That was a lot. I loved absolutely just hearing. I was hanging on every word. So that was just absolutely incredible.
Well, good.
But we'll definitely have you on more to whether we want to do more Caddie stuff, give a little more behind the scenes because you've lived all sides of it, or you know, who knows, maybe just, you know, come on and talk 80s movies. So we'll have to figure something out.
Do you think we could? Well, 80s movies I love. Do you think we could get Mom to bring our hamburgers down here and we could keep talking?
I think we're pushing our luck.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if people want to hear us chewing with these microphones on right now. They're gonna be like, "That's a really."
Well, I eat quietly. I don't know about you. No, but yes, happy to talk 80s pop culture anytime. Happy to talk anytime. Hey, how about that?
I appreciate it. You're the best, Dad, and thanks so much for coming on.
Love you. You're doing fun stuff.
I appreciate it. You're the best. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Open Mic. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. We covered a lot of area in this one, from pop culture, the creative process, music, to Bob Newhart, and just, you know, Clint Eastwood, and a whole lot of other really fun things. So really hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed it. Really looking forward to another really fun episode next week. We're putting together some more fun stuff. Gonna maybe, you know, mess around with the format a little bit, so stay tuned for all of that stuff. But really, more than anything, can't thank you guys enough, as usual, for being along for the journey. And we will see you later.